Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my August 2022 TBR. Say it with me everybody, it's TBR time! Yay! So, I'm only going to be sharing 8 books with you guys today. So how I've been going for the last couple months is I've been sharing with you 12 books. And those 12 books are the books that are going into my TBR mug. And then every week when I do my weekly reading plans video, I pick 3 books out of the mug, right? Right. Changing things around a little bit for the month of August, and I want to try this instead. So I was picking 3 books and I was not getting to all of them because, you know, life happens, right? So instead we're going to go down to 8 books, which means I'm going to be picking 2 books a week from here. And all 8 of the books that I'm going to be sharing with you, all 8 books that are going into this mug, are all brand new releases in the month of August. So kind of a really fun way of me being able to share new releases with you guys as well. So yeah, I am really excited. All the books I do have copies of from NetGalley to read, so it's also paring down the old list on NetGalley that I have. So yeah, this is not going to be obviously all the books that I'm reading in the month of August. There will be a lot more that I have on my full list. But I will be sharing some more of them with you guys next week in a video, my August events, where I'll be sharing with you books that I am going to be reading in participation with a ARC August. I have not seen an official announcement for this yet, but a lot of us in the Killing Time with Cozies group are talking about it. And I guess it's been a thing in years past, I think with a blog, not a YouTube channel, but a blog. And essentially just to try and read as many arcs as you can. So I handpicked a bunch of them that have all been released this year that I have not gotten to yet that I want to get to. So I'll share those books with you in that video. Those are kind of like my other priority books, along with a couple of buddy reads that I'm going to be doing in the month of August as well, along with a couple of books that I am actually mood reading. I know, like, to put, that's so me, right? That I would put books on a list that I want to mood read. But I've been seeing some of these books around. I'm really excited about them and I really want to get to them. So I kind of added these books on just for fun. Mood read, extra books, whatever. If I get to them, I get to them. If I don't, I don't. I'm not too worried about it. But anyway, let's get into the 8 books that are on my August TBR. So I do have everything here beside me on my laptop, so I apologize if I keep looking over. So the first book, and these are in order of release date. We have The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden. So this is a romance, contemporary romance / magical realism novel, and it's being released on August the 2nd. Lolly Blanchard's life only seems to give her lemons. 10 years ago, after her mother's tragic death, she broke up with her first love and abandoned her dream of opening a restaurant in order to keep her family's struggling Seattle diner afloat and care for her younger sister and grieving father. Now, a decade later, she dutifully whips up the diner's famous lemon meringue pies each morning while still pining for all that she's lost. As Lolly's 33rd birthday approaches, her quirky great aunt — we all need a quirky great aunt, right? I just have a quirky aunt. Hi, Aunt Sandy. Gives her a mysterious gift: 3 lemon drops, each of which allows her to live a single day in the life that might have been hers. What if her mom hadn't passed away? What if she had opened her own restaurant in England? What if she hadn't broken up with the only man she ever loved? Surprising and empowering, each experience helps Lolly let go of her regrets and realize the key to transforming her life lies not in redoing her past, but in having the courage to embrace her present. Does that not sound fantastic? What would you do? It kind of raises that question. It's like, what would you do? What days would you relive if you could? Or would not relive, but what days would you want to see if something didn't, like if something changed? Do you know what I mean? Really interesting to think about in theory, but that book just sounds so delightful and the cover is just so pretty. So I am really looking forward to that one. Next up on the list, we have The Second First Chance by Mona Schroff. This is a contemporary romance novel. This book is coming out as well on August the 2nd. So Raya and Dylan grew up together, sharing secrets, hiding in their treehouse. They were playmates, best friends, and later, as teenagers, almost something more, until the devastating house fire that ripped them apart. claiming the life of Dylan's father and Raya's older brother Samir. Raya and Dylan have barely spoken since that terrible night, but they both made big decisions based on that fire. Raya has chosen to fight fire with everything she's got, but it's not easy. As the only female firefighter and one of the only people of color in her fire hall, she has to prove herself over and over. Plus, she's hidden her career from her family. Dylan wanted to heal things, so he became a veterinarian. When a chance encounter with a rescue dog throws Raya and Dylan together again, he's furious at her career choice. After what happened to them, how can she run into fires on purpose? For Raya, Dylan's anger is unacceptable. How can he not see that she's protecting others from the very losses they both experienced? It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. That sounds so good. I'm a big fan of hers. She has written also standalone or single title novels before. And then she actually has written a couple for Silhouette, the Harlequin Special Edition line, featuring Indian American characters. And I am really looking forward to this one. It sounds really good. Next up, whoops, I went too far on my list here. Sorry. We have way too far. I flew down to the bottom. All right, here we go. So next up, we have The Codebreaker's Secret by Sarah Ackerman. This is a historical fiction World War II novel. Also comes out on August the 2nd. So this is a bit of a dual timeline, 1943 to 1965. And from my understanding, all of Sarah Ackerman's novels take place in the Pacific Theater, in they're World War II novels, but they take place in the Hawaii Pacific area. So 1943, as war in the Pacific rages on, Isabel and her codebreaker colleagues huddle in the dungeon at Station HYPO in Pearl Harbor, deciphering secrets plucked from the airwaves in a race to bring down the enemy. Isabel has only one wish, to avenge her brother's death. But she soon finds life has other plans when she meets his best friend, a hotshot pilot with secrets of his own. 1965, fledgling journalist Lou comes home to Hawaii to cover the grand opening of the glamorous Maui Key Beach Resort, Rockefeller's newest and grandest project. When a high-profile guest goes missing, Lou forms an unlikely alliance with an intimidating veteran photographer to unravel the mystery. The two make a shocking discovery that stirs up memories and uncovers an explosive secret from the war days. A secret that only a codebreaker can crack. I love historical fiction novels. And I know that World War II historicals have been done, beaten, pretty much every historical fiction novel is a World War II. But the fact that these ones take place in Hawaii, I think is really what is interesting and what kind of sets Sarah Ackerman apart, because most of them will take place in Europe, with the European conflict. So yeah, this one sounds really good. I am very much looking forward to it. Next up, we have another historical fiction / women's fiction novel. It's another dual timeline story. But not a huge timeline. So we have, I don't know. No, this wouldn't be considered historical fiction. I read the date wrong originally, you guys. It's 1997 is the older date. I pray that is not historical fiction. This is a women's fiction novel. Comes out on August the 4th, and this is The Shimmer on the Water by Marina McCarran. So 3 women, 2 generations apart, one secret they share. Maine, 1997. As the people of Fort Meadow Beach celebrate the 4th of July, 4-year-old Daisy Wright disappears and is never seen again. Maine, 2002. Fired from her job and heartbroken, Peyton moves back home for the summer. Bored and aimless, she finds a renewed sense of purpose when an ad for a journalism course reminds her of a path not taken. Returning to life in her hometown brings back all kinds of memories, including Daisy's disappearance when she was a young girl herself. As Peyton begins to search for answers about Daisy's disappearance, she finds that they might be closer to home than she thinks, and their lives become intertwined with irreversible consequences. That sounds really good as well. Very excited about that one. Now let's get into a contemporary romance, shall we? Kind of my bread and butter. Mr. Perfect on Paper by Jean Meltzer. This is, like I said, a contemporary romance, and it comes out on August the 9th, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I have not read her first book, which was The Matzo Ball, which was the one that took place during Hanukkah, and it came out last year. I really need to get to it this year. But this is her newest release. The Perfect Jewish Husband Should Be. A doctor or a lawyer, preferably a doctor. Baggage free, no previous marriages, no children. And of course, he must be Jewish. As the creator and CEO of the popular Jewish dating app JMate, matchmaker Dara knows the formula for lasting love, at least for everyone else. When it comes to her own love life, she's been idling indefinitely, until her beloved Bubby shares Dara's checklist for the perfect Jewish husband. On national television, and charming news anchor Chris proposes they turn Dara's search into must-see TV. As a non-Jewish single dad, Chris doesn't check any of Dara's boxes, but in her hunt for Mr. Perfect is the ratings boost his show desperately needs. If only Chris could ignore his own pesky attraction to Dara, a task much easier said than done when Dara starts questioning if Perfect on Paper can compete with how hard she's falling for Chris. I love that so much. I mean, he is like not checking any of the boxes, and it's just, oh, so exciting. So exciting. Let's jump into a thriller, because there's just something about thrillers and the summertime. So, I know a lot of you do not like reading what thrillers are about before you actually read them. So the picture will be popped up here. When the picture goes away, I will stop talking about the book. So if you guys want to fast forward through this, by all means you can. The book I'm going to talk about is Youre Invited by Amanda J. Tilsa. This is a mystery thriller, comes out August the 9th. Now, on Goodreads it says September, but I checked both Amazon and Audible, and both of them are also showing August the 9th. And I have an EARC copy, so I'll be reading it in the month of August. So, as I said, pictures up here, I'm going to start talking about the book. When Amya is invited to Kayev's over-the-top wedding in Sri Lanka, she is surprised and a little hurt to hear from her former best friend after so many years of radio silence. But when Amya learns that the groom is her very own ex-boyfriend, she is consumed by a single thought. She must stop the wedding from happening, no matter the cost. But as the week-long wedding celebrations begin, and rumors about Amya's past begin to swirl, she can't help but feel like she also has a target on her back. When Kavi goes missing and is presumed dead, all evidence points to Amya. However, nothing is as it seems. And the author expertly unravels that each wedding guest has their own dark secret and agenda. And Amya may not be the only one with a plan to keep the bride from getting her happily ever after. That sounds so freaking good. The fact it takes place in Sri Lanka, I am all for. I love it. I cannot wait to read this one. It's going to be so good. Next up, there is a new picture that I'm going to be popping up here for another thriller. So again, if you don't want to be spoiled on any thrillers by reading the back, if you're one of those people, which is perfectly fine, that is great. As soon as the picture goes away, I will no longer be talking about the book, but the next one is The Family Remains by the great Lisa Jewell. I'm so excited. Another mystery thriller, also comes out August 9th. Now, Goodreads shows this one as a July release date. But again, Amazon and Audible show it as August the 9th, so I don't know what's going on. I'm going by what it says on Amazon, because that's where you purchase the books from, generally. Early one morning on the shore of the Thames, DCI Samuel is called to the scene of a gruesome discovery. When he sends the evidence for examination, he learns that the bones are connected to a cold case that left 3 people dead on the kitchen floor in a Chelsea mansion 30 years ago. Rachel Rimmer has also received a shock. News that her husband Michael has been found dead in the cellar in his house in France. All signs point to an intruder, and the French police need her to come urgently to answer questions about Michael and his past, and she very much doesn't want to answer. After fleeing London 30 years ago in the wake of a horrific tragedy, Lucy Lamb is finally coming home. While she settles in with her children and is just about to purchase their first ever house, her brother takes off to find the boy from their shared past whose memory haunts their present. All as they all race to discover answers to these convoluted mysteries, they will come to find that they're connected in ways no one could have ever imagined. So all these stories interconnected. It's Lisa Jewell. It's going to be so good. I can't wait for this book. And the last book that I have for this list, throwing a little bit of Canadian content in here because why the heck not? We have Sophie Go's Lonely Hearts Club by Roselle Lim. Now, I have read another book by this author. I read it earlier this year, actually in February when I was in hospital, called Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop. The author herself is Canadian. She's from Toronto, the Scarborough area of Toronto, actually, for anyone else who's familiar with the city. But this book sounds so good. So this is a contemporary romance, chick lit, magical realism is what it's being labeled as. Comes out on August the 16th. I'm very excited. Newly minted professional matchmaker Sophie Go has returned to Toronto, her hometown, after spending 3 years in Shanghai. Her job is made quite difficult, however, when she is revealed as a fraud. She never actually graduated from matchmaking school. In a competitive market like Toronto, no one wants to take a chance on an inexperienced and unaccredited matchmaker, and soon Sophie becomes an outcast. In dire search of clients, Sophie stumbles upon a secret club within her condo complex. The Old Ducks. 7 septuagenarians, 7 septuagenarian Chinese bachelors who never found love. I'm sorry, this just sounds so good. Somehow, she convinces them to hire her, but her matchmaking skills are put to the test as she learns the depths of loneliness, heartbreak, and love by attempting to make the hardest matches of her life. Does that not sound delightful? I love it. I love older people finding love. That just makes me all the happy. So this one sounds really good. The cover is so perfect for summertime. And the fact it takes place in my hometown, I love that too. The Vanessa Yu book took place mostly, did it start? I think it started in San Francisco and then went to Paris. So I love the fact that this one is set in Toronto. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But yeah. So anyway, you guys, that is my list. Those are the 8 books that are going to go in the jar for the month of August. So stay tuned for those picks. Tomorrow, actually, Friday, I'm filming this video on Monday. But on Friday, so I'll be filming that video later on this week, I will be filming my reading plans video for next week. I know, it's all convoluted. But I will be picking the first 2 books out of the jar. So stay tuned for that, you guys. And we'll see what I'll be reading come August. Very excited. Let me know, are any of these books on your radar? Are they now on your radar? Let me know all the things. And until my next video, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.